Wingman Ted, what are your thoughts on needing to retain Kevin Wilson? We had a pretty lengthy conversation about Kevin Wilson a week or two ago, right here with these three. If it means making Hartline an offensive coordinator to keep him, how much is he, meaning Kevin Wilson, really utilized in the Ryan Day offense?
Well, the good news is that I understand everybody's fear of losing Brian Hartline. Everybody's concerned about it. Everybody's concerned about how much money he makes and everything else. Got himself a raise. I believe he got himself a new title. We know that the titles are all well and good. I don't care who we're talking about. This is Ryan Day's offense. This is not Kevin Wilson's offense. This isn't Brian Hartline's offense. This isn't Tony Alford's offense. This isn't Justin Fry's offense. It's Ryan Day's offense. So worrying about the title, I think the only concern on titles is if you sit there and you feel that you're locked into what you can pay a guy based on what his title is. We're very close to them taking the caps off of how many coaches you can have in terms of college football, from whatever it is, 11 coaches to an unlimited amount of coaches. And then things are going to get even more cloudy on the org chart for fans to follow. I mean, because everybody wants to see, okay, it's Day here. Let me make sure I'm on camera. It's Day here, and then it's these guys here, and then these guys here. You're going to get to this point of where you're just going to have all these circles all over the page, and everybody's going to be just pointing up toward the head coach. That's just how it's going to be. Now, as for Kevin Wilson, Kevin Wilson is kind of the longtime coach. He was a head coach. He's done this for a while. He's good at a lot of organizational things. I know they really relied on him a lot in terms of the camp setting for making sure that, that the trains ran and things along those lines. So I wouldn't be so quick to be pushing Kevin Wilson aside. I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Wilson, if another opportunity for a head coaching position that was something that he was interested in. I mean, I'm sure he could find a head coaching position tomorrow, if he just put his name out and said, I'm open to all inquiries at this point. But, I think it needs to be the right position. He doesn't have to deal with a lot of the stuff that he had to deal with at IU, at Ohio State. So because of that, he's really in a good situation. In terms of what the offense is, he certainly has his input. He's certainly on the offensive channel. He certainly does a lot in terms of helping the team with development. He's kind of positionless because I understand he works with the tight ends, but so does Justin Fry, because the tight ends do a lot of blocking. So does Brian Hartline, because the receivers at least are window dressing as guys who are eligible to catch passes. But I'm not ready to be pushing Kevin Wilson off to any sort of side role at this point.
No, he's not going anywhere. He and Ryan Day build this offense kind of hand in hand, and Wilson doesn't have an ego and accepts his role, and I'm sure he would tell you he would do anything to keep Hartline right where he is, and if that's co-coordinator or whatever it would be, I don't think it'd be an issue.
Brian Hartline was asked last November, basically, do you ever see yourself leaving? You're going to have to start climbing up the ladder because you're just a lowly wide receivers coach. And he was asked that, and I can just read you some of the answers, basically, saying that he views his job right now as the pinnacle of the ladder. And he said, I'm not a person to sit here and tell you, no, I'm never leaving Ohio State. I'm not saying I ever will. You say go up the ladder, go where? This is the pinnacle of the ladder. And the ego at this point is pretty minimal, I think, at times. Maybe other people don't think so. But I don't need the satisfaction of calling plays or whatever. I don't know what the ladder is, but to me, I'm at the pinnacle of the ladder. And he is, I saw him speaking, must have been spring of 2019, when he was talking to coaches and said that, this has been his calling. And it's not necessarily a job. He doesn't need it. Certainly doesn't need to work ever again. He signed contracts worth $30+ million in the NFL, has other businesses involvements that he's had as well. And so it's a situation where he's not your typical coach. Now, will he be at Ohio State forever? Probably not. Nobody ever is. And it's just, it's funny to me when you have, because I've seen it on our own board where Ohio State fans, they're very excited, but then it's like, oh no, how much longer can we keep him? It's like, I've won the lottery, but oh no, I'm eventually going to spend this money and it's going to be gone. Like, enjoy it while it's here. That's what it's for. Don't get, I mean, you know, people were like, oh no, well, what's going to happen when Urban Meyer leaves? Oh no, what's going to happen when Jim Tressel leaves? Oh no, what's going to happen when, I mean, it's Ohio State. It just keeps going on. And, you know, it's funny. What would happen if Brian Hartline leaves? Keenan Bailey would take over, and he's one of the best young coaches that nobody ever talks about. That is well known in the coaching circles, and Ohio State has been working very, very hard to keep in Columbus. So, just as Ohio State has players that are and a surplus of talent in regards to the players, there are certain coaching positions where they have a surplus of talent as well. So, they don't need to, you know, don't worry about losing Brian Hartline. What's worse is having coaches that never leave because nobody else wants them. You look at Jim Tressel's offenses and Jim Bowman. Nobody was ever coming around for Jim Bowman or John Peterson, and there's a reason. Like, you want other schools to come around looking for your coaches. That tells you things are going well and that you have good coaches. And when at Ohio State, there's no shortage of people wanting to work there either. So if you do eventually lose Brian Hartline in 5 years, then there will be such a stockpile of talent that you may not even miss him for a while.
I was watching the 2010 Sugar Bowl that the NC2A told me to strip from my memory against Arkansas. And that was Terrell Pryor was on that team. You had Dane Sanzenbacher. I was going through, and they had like 4 first half drives that were all in the 65 to longer range, and it just felt like I was watching a sport on a very different speed in terms to how that offense was run and how it was constructed. And I remember at the time, again, I'm not supposed to remember the game. The NC2A told me that it didn't exist. I remember being like, man, this might be as good as it gets. This is wide open football. This is prolific, skilled, accurate passing. And, and I'm watching it like it's, a car going on Interstate 70 with the parking brake on. I mean, it's just crazy with what we're seeing. And the point being, Tony's right in terms of you don't want to have a coaching staff that all stays together for 15 years, because that just means generally nobody is really that excited about poaching those guys. I mean, look at the Nick Saban staff. That thing turns over on the reg, and that's because people are going to sit there and poach his coaches and be able to, make head coaches out of them, and some of them work out and some of them don't, and the ones who don't end up back at Alabama again. So, enjoy the moment. Don't sit there and worry about the situation. It's like the constant worry I get about Julian Fleming. Oh my God, Ohio State's going to lose Julian Fleming. Well, Julian Fleming is very happy at Ohio State right now. Would he like to have a larger role in the offense? Absolutely. Has he been injured a huge part of his career? Absolutely. But you know what? If Julian Fleming decides that I'm going to go to Temple and do this, you sit there, you tip your cap to him, you thank him for his time, and you wish him the best because he did a great job. And that's not saying Julian Fleming is going anywhere. I don't need to read Kevin Noon just that Julian Fleming is going to Temple. I'm just using that as an example. But, enjoy the moment. I mean, life in general kind of stinks right now. So this is supposed to be for fun. Enjoy it.